Imagine how many times a day you would be tortured by someone just to get information out of you. Now add that to how many times a day someone is tortured for no exact reason. Then multiply that by 365 to get how many days there are in a year. What is the final answer to that question? If I knew the answer, I wouldn't want to tell you. In the Philippines, this is the case. Police officers have been caught torturing their prisoners for the heck of it, or just because they were in jail. One major human right being violated in the Philippines is Article 5, which states that a person shouldn't be tortured. People who are meant to enforce the law and high-ranking government officials have been caught violating human rights. The government has tried to recognize the different torture cases in the Philippines. They started by enforcing laws that they thought would stop torture within jails. Some countries, specifically the US, have tried to fund programs that are meant to improve the human condition in the Philippines. Since 2001, reports have showed police officers torturing prisoners. When President Aquino came into office, he promised to try and fix the problems pertaining to the human rights in the Philippines. His promises, of course, were empty, as shown by World Report 2014. The article states, the Aquino administration has not made significant progress on its pledge to expedite the investigation and prosecution of torture, among other serious violations of human rights. Of course, the people of the Philippines were not too happy, wanting more out of the president to fix these problems. There have been many cases that point out that even police have taken part in torturing people through something called a torture wheel. It has been described by Amnesty International to be as a tragic and horrifying reality of Philippine democracy where pain have been sources of enjoyment. Much like spinning a prize wheel, the torturer spins the wheel, and whatever the wheel lands on, that is how the person is supposed to be tortured. Police have been found with a torture wheel in January of 2014, and what they did was arrest them for violating human rights. In another case, there is someone who survived and lived to tell the tale. He told how he was tortured in ways that would disgust you. This article explains, the footage showed the suspect naked, being yanked by a cord attached to his genitals and whipped with a rope. They prompted the authorities to suspend all 11 police officers. The person being tortured, Darius Evangelista, has had first-hand experience with being tortured. The torturers did things to the person that was cruel and shouldn't have been done in the first place. The biggest thing the government has tried is to get funding from other countries, including Australia, the US, the EU, for programs whose purpose is to improve human rights. It isn't explained how they work, only telling the reader how countries will help fund them. It's inferred that they plan on raising awareness about their human rights being violated. The article does nothing to try and clear up how they will actually plan on getting protection in this country. The other articles offered no explanation as well to how they plan on using the money specifically. Although they have tried programs promoting human rights, there has been very little effectiveness with it. The first thing the government can try to do is start monitoring what happens in the jails and prisons more often. Since a lot of torture happens within the jails and prisons in the Philippines, this would prevent people who were meant to enforce the law from torturing those who are in jail to serve their time. Even if they think the criminal needs to be tortured, he is under the protection of Article 5 of the Human Rights. They also should try and replace the people in the government, such as the officials who pass laws, in order to get new ideas on how to improve the Philippines' human rights. By replacing them, they would get new ideas for laws that would improve rights. They also need to enforce stricter laws about torture, since the laws that they use as of right now have no effect stopping torture. If the government had implemented stricter laws and punishments from the first place, it may deter people from torturing others. By trying these things, there would be change and less cases about torture. If they did try something different than what they have already, they would see more results. What they have tried to do has been ineffective and nothing has changed. The Philippines is a place where many human rights have been violated, specifically Article 5 that talks about how humans shouldn't be tortured. While the government thinks they have done everything in their power in order to stop this from happening, they still have a long way to go before they actually fix the human rights. Thank you for paying attention for like the first minute of the video.